22nd of May 2022. Welcome to everyone. I presume we're live streaming, are we, ladies? Yep, we are live streaming. Welcome everyone, wherever you are in the world today, to Taupō, New Zealand, for the annual plan submissions. Councillor Truman, would we be able to ask for you to give us a blessing for the day, please?
Tuia ki te Māori o te whenua, tuia ki te mana o te tangata, tuia ki te pono, te aroha, kia piki, kia eke, ki te taumata. Huie tai ki.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Truman, and welcome to members of the public and submitters here today, and members of the press, also staff. Wonderful to have you all, Mr. CEO. So we'll go to the agenda, and item number 1 is apologies. Apologies here from Councillor Rankin, Mac, Leonard, I believe. Any others? Have I missed anyone? Councillor Kingi's attending by Zoom. All right, could I have a mover, please, for those apologies be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Parks, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Item number 2, conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest pertaining to the items today? No? Oh, Councillor.
Of the club, does that have a conflict of interest?
Member which club, sorry?
The rating club.
No.
Through the chair, it's up to each member to identify whether or not they believe that they've got a conflict. You would consider things like pecuniary interest and whether or not you've got an open mind in the situation. I would say at the very least you would identify that you're a member and then make the decision about whether or not you still have an open mind to be part of the decision making or in the room at the ultimate end if you have got a direct.
Okay, well I declare that I am a member. Thank you.
Through the chair,
Thank you.
I'm not the current member, but I have been a member. I propose to renew it as well.
Through the chair, I think it's good to note, but unless you're a member of the committee, I don't see it as a conflict.
Thank you, Councillor Park. So 2 members have been declared, and I'll declare I'm a life member as well of the Taupō Racing Club. Thank you, Councillor Body, for raising that. Any other conflicts of interest? No? Okay, item number 3 is not necessary. Okay, right. Item 4.1 is to hear and deliberate on the annual plan 2022-23 fees and charges, significance and engagement policy in town centre Taupō targeted rate. Okay, we have submitters here today. We might as well kick them off. Nikki, who have we got first up? Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Oh, Timmy. Yeah.
Good morning, Your Worship, Councillors.
Yeah.
So yes, we're here today to talk about the annual plan hearings for the annual plan submissions, but also significance and fees and policies. We will start off this morning by having the submitters. 11 of them have chosen to speak to their submissions.
Yeah.
So they will be coming, and Ross will call them up to the table and speak to you, after which I will come through and talk through to the hearing report, and then we'll break for deliberations and go on through that way. And so,
Lovely.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Come, please speak to the camera, and so that Councillor Kingi and the speakers can hear you.
Okay, who have we got first up? Ross?
Thank you, Your Worship. First up we have submitter number 21, and we have Ross Brown, if I can call him up please, speaking on behalf of the Taupō Racing Club. Lovely.
Morning, Ross. Welcome. Welcome.
Look into that mic and look into that camera. That's interesting. Kia ora koutou, and thank you, councillors, for the opportunity to share this submission and clarify any points that you may have. I'll sit down for you. I am here on behalf of Terry Campbell, who's the club president and who currently is at Twickenham in the UK with family. So my presentation to you is his. You've received it, I trust, and read it. I would emphasise a number of points in the time that I've got. One is that the location that we obviously have that as a town that also applies in the racing industry, and the Masara report has respected that and seen that, and we now placed between Cambridge, Matamata, Hub, the Manawatu and Hawke's Bay are now going to be playing an important role in delivering of racing industry activities. Over the last 7 years, we've spent of the order of probably 400 plus thousand in developing the infrastructure in the site, and this application this morning is one of infrastructure. The New Zealand Thoroughbred Racing have recognised the club and its place that it does have, and extended the number of races that it has from 4 to 7, 6 or 7, and that is an endorsement of the place that the club and the town and the facility has in the minds of those in New Zealand Thoroughbred Racing. This is an infrastructure application. Currently the club has built a 1 million litre pond, and that pond is an important component of being able to irrigate the facility. On a day with all of our K-line pods burning, we might burn, which is, I've learned is the term, you burn water, but you utilise water of the order of between 25 and 30,000 litres in a day, and so we have the dam, we have the irrigation components, and now it is the pump facility that will provide reliable water to allow us to complete what has been a substantial investment to date. In addition, the facility that we've got there, in particular the dam, offers to the area, the immediate area, a source of open access water in case of an emergency event, particular fire. And we don't want that to happen, but things do change, and it also allows that to happen and occur. The club has visions of extending what it does there as a facility, and so the second component of this application is to complete to have a contribution for headworks which allow reliable town potable water to be reticulated to the car club and into the racing site. At the moment it's dependent upon a current bore that has been assessed, but it's not likely that we'll be able to continue to access that water in a reliable sense, and so the town water has been delivered up Centennial Drive, and we have been able to access that to a point, but the completion of that project requires an investment to go to the buildings, the car club, and there is a toilet block on the site as well, apart from our own ones. So you can see and appreciate that we're very proud of what we do in the town, that we have a cup day which is something that punctuates the event calendar at the time of the year that visitors are in town. I know personally from my connections in the Manawatu and Hawke's Bay that that's part of, not the only reason, there's a big body of water there why most people come, but that's one of the things that they do come for or enjoy while they're here, and that's the people I know, and undoubtedly that's the case for I think when we were able to have full access, we had over 5,000 people visit on our Cup Day, and car parking was at a premium, and we're working with the car club, we're able to park into their site as well. The development that's going to happen at the motor race track is going to be significant, and we want to be able to complement that with the development that we would bring via this application and the funding that it would provide us with. Questions?
Thank you very much, Ross. Appreciate your time and your submission this morning. Councillor Park.
Thank you, Ross, and congratulations to the committee on all the work that they've done today. It's really noticeable.
Thank you.
Just two things. So the trials aren't counted as race days, so how many trials?
Trial days, probably again, and they vary and they're on and off again. Another 4 to 5 is my guess.
Okay, that's good to know. And also, is this just a one-off cost that you're asking council for? It's not an ongoing...
This will complete a substantial program. The ring main is in, the tobies are there, the dam is there. It's just the bore that we need to then replenish and supply. So it's not ongoing.
And what about consent costs? Would that be regional council for a bore?
Yes, I would say yes, as you would know. Whether those costs are represented in here, I'm not aware.
Okay.
Terry would know that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Williamson?
Thank you, Ross. Thank you for that. Notwithstanding COVID the last couple of years, and perhaps appreciate the current financial memberships now. But what would be the membership of the Taupō Racing Club?
It's about 350, I think.
350.
Yeah. We became the racing COVID experts on the very first day. We were in the middle of a race meeting, and at lunchtime the rules changed. So, and then we had to deliver 3 others under lockdown. So, yeah, but we've rallied, and we'll keep doing that. But
Thanks very much,
the membership's substantial, and the support from the community is quite significant.
Cool. Thank you very much, Ross.
We're good?
Done very well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Through
Councillor
you,
Body?
Chairman, on the first page, you mentioned 70,000 is required. In fact, it's 85,000 on the next page. What's the figure?
Where do you read 85?
We are looking for 70,000.
Oh,
plus
the
just-
70 is for the completion for the bore,
Yeah.
and the balance of that is to take town water from which is now going up Centennial Drive to the buildings, because the bore is an irrigation project, infrastructural project, and then there is reticulating the potable water to the facility.
So the request then is for 85.
Yes,
That's-
which
thank
is
you.
on the back page. Yes.
Thank you.
Very good, Ross.
Cheers.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Thanks for your work. All the best for the day.
Thank you. Right, next.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next we have submitter number 36, Rory Scott, and speaking on behalf of the Taupō Business Chamber.
Thank you. Welcome, Rory.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Just a spot with the camera. Morning, everybody. Thank you again for having us here on behalf of Business Chamber. As I've said on numerous occasions, we're really trying to make sure that we show our face to our submissions. So it's always good to be able to sit here in front of you, and especially if there's any questions. In terms of our application, I think it's probably fair to say that it was reasonably simplistic in terms of we stuck to the key points of the key points that you identified in your requests, and I've also reflected on the comments in the that you've got here in the actual agenda topic for today. I would say our primary theme when it comes to the plan is feedback and access to information more so than anything. And there's been some good comments here about where perhaps our Googling skills on the web and on the TDC website might need a little bit of upskilling ourselves. But mindful of that. Our major member feedback with regards to what's going on in the community is just is probably finance driven. With increasing living costs and increasing costs in general, that's sort of the topic of conversation. But primarily our feedback is we're pleased to see a lot of projects underway. It's great to see progress. We're excited to be part of it. Happy to answer any specific
Lovely.
questions.
Thanks, Rory. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Any questions, Rory?
In your submission, you make a comment about if we had an 8.35% rate increase, there'd be significant costs to some businesses. How significant? What's that based on?
The comment was, we don't have financial information to provide a basis for any sort of, deliberate cost. But an 8.35% increase in rates is, although, like I said in the comment as well, that rates increases were expected, and it's always an interesting scenario when we've benefited from the rates hold during the actual COVID time to then the catch-up point where everybody goes, oh, hang on. So you do have to, in our opinion, accept that. More so than anything, it's just that we've seen in our terms of our membership feedback that people have still, especially our CBD businesses that are sort of more hospo geared, are still coming back into play with everything. So increased costs there is just another a bill to pay. But I don't have any meaningful financial data to give you as a comment to that.
Thanks very much, Rory. Appreciate your time today and the work you do for the Chamber.
Pleasure.
Appreciate that. Right.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, cool. Next up.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have submitter number 24 next, and that is Mr. Stephen Sanderson. Come up.
Welcome, Stephen.
Yep. Good morning, councillors, and once again thank you for your time and also for the work that does actually get done around the district and in Whai and the things that you have planned. There's just a few little things that I find a little bit interesting. I'll deal with the new projects first. The UV plants and it's got here Atimuri, Whareroa, Waiha and Turangi. There seems, in the plan it says that there's a shortfall of like $4 million, and that sounds like to me $1 million per project. I'd just like to know really from council how this happens, how that happened that there was a shortfall, and you actually stated a shortfall in your plan, and it sort of seems to be linked to those 4 communities. Where we are last thought, when we really, I question the need to actually upgrade our water supply anyway. We have a very good water supply, and I believe it ranks really up there as a good water supply. And it's been tweaked over the years, and I still wonder with this, with the 3 waters and that coming along, why there's this necessity to actually do any work there in the short term. And that's something you councillors might have to think about a little bit, because we at Whai are not necessarily happy with the way things have gone with the so-called upgrade of our water supply. The other thing is, with the plan, there's nothing in the plan. It's an annual plan. Okay, it fits in with the 10-year plan, but there's nothing to say what capital works are going to be done in these communities over the next 12 months. Even though off and on things are signalled in the 10-year plan, and I found this not only with this annual plan but with all annual plans, that some of the projects that have been put forward over the years don't get done. They seem to disappear, and I'm not really happy with that. As a resident, I think we're entitled to know when some of these projects are going to actually happen, and that's the stairway from Hanekapetiras to Turangi-Tongariro. It's been an ongoing project for now since 2012, and it's still not signalled to be done, even though I've been told on numerous occasions by staff it's going to happen. So I think it's time that some of these things were actually put in writing, shown in the plan, and actually happen. There's also in the plan it talks about refuse. Whareroa has a special refuse rate, which is $90 in place of a collection. We have our own 2 bins that are regularly emptied when they are full. And then we have 24 access to those bins. And we pay $90 a year per ratepayer for that privilege, which is everybody expects to pay. We're finding at the moment that there's a large proportion of refuse going into those bins from the surrounding communities, and those are the farming communities. We don't have a major objection, but the cost is being borne by the Whareroa ratepayers alone. I might add that there's 1 or 2 from Amuri and Kuratao dumping their rubbish in our bin as well, so which I find quite difficult to accept, considering the cost of actually coming around Whareroa, especially with fuel the way it is at the moment. I can't see their logic, to be quite honest. But what we would like to do is we would like to ring fence an area around Whareroa, so including Kaunihera Road and up a little bit up the Panga, where we know those people are regularly using that particular bin. They're entitled to come in and do their recycling. That's part of their rates as well. But to fill up that bin, and they fill it up, they come in with trailer loads of stuff. They clean out houses when the farm workers leave, and they can actually fill half a bin in one afternoon. So, and we pay for that. We're not totally objecting, but at the same time we think that they have a certain amount of responsibility. And I see in there that we pay, there's going to be an increase of rates around about 7.35%, maybe a little bit more, because of the refuse carbon credits trading. I think that, I don't know what other measures council are taking to try to mitigate that. Do you have your own forests, or are you planning to do something different to sort of reduce that cost? Because that cost is going to go on and on and on and on forever, unless we really do something about our rates. The other thing, while we're talking about rates and refuse, I believe we're not getting the service from the contractor that looks after the Turangi refuse. We're getting the service from the staff in Turangi, and the people that come out and look after it, that take away our recycling, that are really good people. They try and do it hard, good job of it. But it's forever got broken down machinery. You know, I don't think the contractor, any contractor working for the council, should have substandard equipment whereby it starts to cost the council. And also, you know, I've been told that there's a saving of something like $400,000 over 4 years or 5 years by having this particular contractor. I don't think we're saving anything at all. The service is absolutely shocking. But the staff themselves are working hard. They try hard to meet the parameters of the contract, but the contractor himself is letting the staff and us down. That's about it. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions of Stephen? Councillor Park?
Thank you. Have you got any suggestions for council on how we might change people's dumping behaviours? Because that's fundamentally, it's a behaviour and it's not a function of council. But have you got any ideas on how we might better communicate or mitigate that?
Yeah, humans are humans, and they'll do whatever they like, and there's no disputing that. I spend quite a bit of time at the local refuse station, and I don't think you can. I think the only way to the actual community, our community, we've got them pretty well trained. And there's still a lot of work to do, but they've pretty good at doing it. But it's the outsiders just coming in and dumping. While we have a system where the station is open on Wednesdays for 4 hours and on Sundays for the locals. And that's for the green waste and all the other things that they've got to do while they're there on the weekends. And that is when people come in and dump their stuff. And I don't think you can change any way that we can change the behaviour except for making them pay their share for, say, $90 per household. If you start telling the farms that they've got to pay $90 for every house they've got on it, they'll start to kick up a bit of a fuss and maybe they'll take some responsibility.
Very good. Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate your time today and coming up from Whai.
Thank you, Council.
And thank you for
And
your work down there. Much appreciated.
thank you.
Right, next up we have
Thank you, Your Worship. We have submitted number 25, Jane Penton, on behalf of the Lakes and Waterways Action Group Trust.
Cool.
And she's also speaking to submit number 41 on behalf of herself.
Morning, Jane. So submitter 4 and 25, submission 25 and 41. Welcome.
Kia ora everyone. Just got to arrange my papers a little bit here. I've got 2 submissions. I'll tell you the word I'm writing at the end. So for Lakes and Waterways, take this off actually. Yeah, I guess we'd moved a bit sideways. I worked on this on Friday and sent it in quite late, so I don't know if anyone's seen the actual oral submission notes here. So I'll just go through it quickly, and just to remind everybody, if you don't know our group, our kaupapa, the goals of Lakes and Waterways are to seek the enhancement of water quality within the Lake Taupo catchment area. It's a given really, considering the name of our trust. Unite people for the benefit of protecting Lake Taupo's natural environment and advocate for sustainable development thinking with regards to any development within the Lake Taupo catchment. So it's quite a broad vision really, and as you know, we are supported by the Council in this regard. We support the alignment of the local water schemes, so I won't go into any detail on that. We largely support the transport projects as outlined, but note that we have historically proposed a cycle walking bridge. I think I came in with pictures of beautiful bridges at some point, instead of a second road bridge, to encourage low carbon transport options and just around sustainability really in general. So we would urge the Council to consider this. Do you have this in front of you? I'm not sure if you do. I'll just read through it otherwise quickly. As this would resolve the infrastructure needs and send a clear message to the community that building new roads is not a sustainable long-term policy for the district. And I don't think I'm alone in thinking this. It's a fairly, Lakes and Waterways support all those national initiatives for less roads, more public transport. So I just talked about that elegance, and it could be a feature for the district. Having a pedestrian cycleway over the Waikato River would be an asset for the district. It could be used in promotion of bike Taupo and fits with our proposed transport strategies, environmental sustainability objectives, and it corresponds with regional and national objectives. It could solve infrastructure issues. And the plan change application towards urban development in the Poihape Road area, all of those infrastructure needs could be addressed with a cycle bridge, I believe, or a pedestrian bridge. So this is still Lakes and Waterways' position. In the local government climate change direction signed by Mayor Trewavas, it states that the council, our council, will promote walking, cycling, public transport and other low carbon transport options. So we seek the option for a cycle walking bridge to be included in the scoping exercise for a second bridge crossing. The draft annual plan clearly supports infrastructure relating to pedestrian, cycling options, and we understand that there is an increased uptake of walking and cycling in Taupo. Isn't that fantastic? Lakes and Waterways would like to see the annual plan document reflect climate change mitigation benefits in your transport section. I know it's very brief, and we know that it's largely an economic plan, but you've got this little area where it says what we do and why we do it, and we think that climate change policy and objectives could be included in the low emissions. So we stated, and I was going to say actually, you know, there was this program last night, I don't know if any of you saw it, the BBC program, the Panorama thing. It was chilling, right? It's talking to the IPCC report, and unfortunately New Zealand stands, it said, alongside Russia, Australia and Turkey as increasing our emissions, and largely in transport, in the area of transport. And we of course support all your initiatives and towards EVs for the fleet, council, fantastic. But how can we support less use of cars in the district? I mean, we've just seen these documents for the district plan, looking at more allowance for lifestyle blocks. That's going to increase trips to town. The growth management strategy, the most recent one, said future housing was going to be zoned for closer to Taupo, around that Waihapi Road area, and that was something Lakes and Waterways supported as it fit with sustainable planning. Consolidation of growth around this area, provision of public transport, and the building of these cycle pedestrian bridge, the state-of-the-art beautiful bridge, would be a win-win for the district, and it would be cheaper as well, cheaper option, we think. So around the solid waste proposals, we understand a gas flare is being planned to be installed if resource consent is extended. We're also encouraged by forthcoming government policy for streamlined council curbside collection of food waste, which we believe this council submitted in support of. But we also note that many councils are doing this already, so we are lagging in that area. This, along with the gas flare, will also help reduce methane reductions if the food waste goes to Mainoki or is composted, so that'd be great. And we just make that point that we support the forthcoming government mandate for and the council uptake of curbside food collection, and also that container return scheme could be a changer for the council. We'll see less litter. I talked to Brent and he says, you know, these people that are just tossing things along our highways and roads and local roads, there may be more initiative for less littering, which would be fantastic. So general comments. We understand the district plan, the annual plan, is largely an economic document, and it has a full page, this document, on the ongoing effects of COVID-19 and a fast-changing economic environment. But there's no mention anywhere in the document on the effects of climate change. Nowhere. I haven't seen it anywhere. Including on water supply during long dry periods, or infrastructure, nearshore water effects of increased rainfall intensity, or any other effects relating to the district. Fire, for instance, is a possibility. Infrastructure issues, flooding in Turangi, all sorts of issues. We note that with TDC's building projects, there's talk of fit out for the Civic Administration building, there's the Waiora House rebuild, there's the Turangi Recreation and Events Centre, which is already happening. None of this talks about championing green building principles. We really think that TDC could consider any low impact, low carbon development be promoted in the annual plan. The IPC 6th assessment report contains the wording, climate change is a threat to human well-being and planetary health. Any further delay in concerted anticipatory global action will miss a brief and rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and a sustainable future for all. So we had our climate scientist James Renwick speak to Lakes and Waterways earlier this year. It was booked out. We had the little conference centre at Acapulco Motel. We were turning people away at the door. It's now or never, really. It says here, systemic transformation is needed across all parts of society. So we've really got some serious issues coming our way. It says greenhouse gas emissions must peak by 2025 and then be halved this decade, or the world will be hit by unprecedented heat waves, terrifying storms and widespread water shortages. We've seen terrifying storms only last week in the Vin right here. So I think I would have been terrified if I was living there when a tornado came through or hail was pouring down on my vegetable garden. WRC are have put out their action roadmap, their climate action roadmap, which states in its introduction, drought and extreme storm events are increasingly affecting the primary sector. Many communities are feeling the effect and so forth, and there'll be increased fire risk. Low water flow during times of drought impact the ability to generate power and impact the health of our river ecosystems. So there's a lot happening in that area coming our way as well, around biodiversity impacts as well. So the National Policy Statement for Urban Development notes that climate change requires a response. That's a dated document now a little bit, but we're now seeing the Government Emissions Reduction Plan for equitable transitions, support regions and industries to manage the transition, support localised and community-based solutions, improve the resource management system, support emissions reductions, improve the evidence base and tools for understanding and assessing urban development, promote innovation and livable neighbourhoods. So the government is really setting a direction as well for us now. As a tourist destination, and we understand work on a destination management plan is now underway, it would be expedient to promote decarbonisation and sustainable development principles in all council documents. Our WAG understand that TDC has employed someone in the climate sphere and have many positive initiatives. However, we believe that if there is to be buy-in for the changes required by individuals and households and businesses and organisations in our district, then the challenges we are facing need to be acknowledged and the solutions consistently promoted. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Very good. Any questions of Jane? Councillor Williamson.
No, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just congratulate convened the Lakes Water Action Group for the work they do, advocacy for the environment. You will perhaps also appreciate Council has appointed a senior policy advisor to understand baseline emissions, and understand footprint aligned with the national strategy anyway, so it's not forgotten about. So it's certainly
I feel for Lakes Waterways it's about getting the message out and bringing people with us, bringing people with you. Really that's really important. I'll briefly speak to my own submission because it's slightly different.
Thank you.
Channeling my inner Greta Thunberg.
Just a clarification, Mr. Chairman, have you gone from submission 25 now to submission 41?
Yeah, unless there are more questions. I thought that
Yep.
On that first one there is. On the second page, it's to do with the three waters, you make a comment, on balance we see there will be benefits in having more affordable future planning options for the district when national entities are involved. What makes you come to that assumption?
Actually your own planning staff. We had a report from the Three Waters team, and one of the engineers said that, in terms of bang for buck, it's really a no-brainer to have support of government in this sphere to really enable cost-effective planning going into the future for all the communities around the district.
That's very interesting, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, Jane, to the next submission.
And I'm not going to name names, but it is really, when you see the travesties of what has happened, not maybe in Taupo, we can't really say that the wastewater event that happened on the lakefront was due to bad planning or bad infrastructure with old pipes, but really I know the Māori are wanting to lift the bar with no, they don't want to see any more wastewater going into this lake. So, I don't know personally how the government entities will be able to manage all these issues, but I would assume that if you're going beyond just the local term of planning, the 3-year, the 10-year planning, if you can really look ahead and budget further ahead, then it's only going to be a good thing, whatever form it takes. So my one is similar, really, I'm sorry to say, but I just think we can remember the passionate views of our rangatahi who came here for the council chamber to speak to climate change declaration. They were in their final years at college. We don't have a lot of young people around, some in the hospo industry, some in various other industries, but we don't have that sort of groundswell of passion continuing in this district for environmental issues, say. Often they go to the cities, they're gone, we don't see them, but I can remember them, their passion. They grew up here, they'll return here in their holidays, they've got family here, they might even come and have families here. And really, you know, our council has been incredibly proactive. There's been a lot of work going into Taupō. Didn't we just win the most beautiful town with sustainability right in the forefront of all of that? Low carbon emission initiatives. They were core claims of that document, which Shannon sent to me last week. I feel Taupō can really build on this. We can be an exemplar of low carbon and sustainability. A great place to live, a resilient, diverse community, a renowned eco-friendly destination. And so I think just more education would really help. The Appoint Council is actively encouraging park and ride, offering love food, hate waste, free parenting courses, promoting sustainable business networking, trialling Be the Change project at intermediate schools, learning about sustainability, that's an educational opportunity, offering free home energy assessments, that would be a great thing. You could apply for a fund, I'm sure, for that. Funding community gardens and zero waste, offering sustainable living courses. So I know that the council fund free composting workshops at the community gardens. Maybe other workshops could be offered there. Maybe the gardens could be funded directly. So that list from the Upper Hutt, that comes out of Council's climate change mitigation work. It was a stock take in 2018, where it said every small change that your council makes to the way in which it operates will ultimately help to reduce emissions. So I think that, you know, we can model changes of behaviour and promote them, as I said in the last submission for lakes and waterways. Could we use the Connect pages, maybe? Other media platforms to regularly promote council and local initiatives that model low carbon or carbon reduction activities, like have a specific designated area in the media to promote this. There's so many good things happening. You could champion sustainability in waste reduction, community gardens, the active transport area, green buildings and design, water collection, any community initiatives that can help. There's other ones out there that this community might not be aware of, like Love Food, Hate Waste, and the Zero Waste Initiative, lots of resources there. And our own Sustainable Taupō Business Forum, they're doing a lot in that area. They're promoting a carbon zero certificate right now. I think it'll be great. I mean, it's a local election time. We need visionaries who can inspire and change and at all these levels, and are really committed to leading by example. I see it as an opportunity, actually, to position Taupō this way, and yeah. But I also see it if we don't do it, our children, who are the ones to truly suffer from our inaction, will not have these choices of action going forward. They'll certainly not have this lifestyle here that we enjoy. And so, unfortunately, I feel the word I wrote down was disenfranchised. I feel a little bit disenfranchised. I've come in here to this council. I haven't seen the deputy mayor personally in this chamber ever, I don't think, and I've spoken to you many times. I do. I'm sorry. I mean, that's personal and great, but I do. I feel disenfranchised, and I put a lot of energy into my submission. Lakes and waterways, I will continue to work in that way in a more, I guess,
Thank you very much,
say.
Jane.
I'd really like to see us step up and carry the community with us.
Cool. I appreciate that. Councillor Park?
Just through the chair, more of a comment than a question, Jane. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate everything that you have done in your advice to council. I'd just take it easy on the Deputy Mayor. She's been through an extremely tragic time with the loss of 2 family members
I didn't know that.
who are very close to her.
Okay.
And also, please don't ever feel disenfranchised. We do really, really appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you very much, and I apologise on behalf of Christine. Yeah, I didn't realise. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, thank you very much, Jane. Appreciate your time today. Right, next we have...
Next speaker, submitter is 29, and we have Sandra Greenslade.
Lovely, welcome Sandra. Submitted number 29 today. Good to see you.
Councillors, I'm very sorry about what I'm about to do to you. I'm actually about to slam dunk you. I wrote a submission. I hope you've all read it. Are there any questions? I'm fine.
Well, just to make you feel better, I did agree with some of your comments.
Thank you, Councillor Body. Thank you very much. Because since I wrote that the submission to you, a number of things have happened both in our country and to myself. So I come here today with a different hat on to what I normally come for ratepayers. I come here today as an energy trustee hat on. For those of you who don't know, I am on the King Country Trust, which was formerly the King Country Energy Trust. King Country Electric Power Trust. We changed our name recently to King Country Trust because we are changing our kaupapa. We are looking to do transformational projects across the area that we are, which is Turangi, Ohakuni, Tamaranui up to Ongarui. So that's the trust area I'm responsible for. My co-trustee on that in Turangi is Joe Bransgrove, who I think you probably all know. I'm also a trustee on the Murrow Energy Trust, which was set up by the Lions Company to help people, and I feel very honoured to follow that previous submitter because she said everything that I would have liked to have had half an hour to say to you. So I'm very pleased I don't have to say all the things that she said, and I can just follow on with what I want to say to you. We have been working very closely with ICA over the past few years. I think some of you know Councillor Tong Kingi was aware of that, and we pick up the shortfall that ICA provide 80% homeowners. We pick up the shortfall for insulation and heat pumps, and we provide to homeowners that meet the criteria 100% free. That also goes up to the Mangakino area. That's part of our area. Since April 21, we have insulated over 500 homes in our district. I have also been very involved with a project called EcoBulb, run by a company called EcoMad, Chris Martin from Christchurch. We have done free in-home energy assessments in over 5,000 homes in our district, and we have provided all of those homes fully with LED light bulbs. So we are very much putting our money where our mouth is in the southern end of the lake. For my sins, being involved in those two organisations, I'm on the advisory board of Utilities Disputes in Wellington, and those are the people you go to if you have got a problem with your electricity bill or your water bill, actually, but we don't have those sorts of problems here. And we also do broadband connections as well. So I'm on their advisory board, and they are a fantastic organisation. And if you ever have any issues or any of your constituents have any issues, you get in touch with me or you get in touch directly with them, and we will help you. And recently I have been appointed to the IMBI Energy Hardship Panel Reference Group. This is a group of about 20 people across New Zealand who are working with IMBI in the energy hardship area, which I'm sure you are well aware is a very, very large group of people in this country now, and it is only going to get worse. So, As a trustee on King Country Trust, I went last week to a two-day conference in Wellington on climate change. This was run by the Electricity Trust of New Zealand, and there was only one word at this conference, and that was decarbonisation. There was no presentation that didn't deal totally with decarbonisation. These trusts between them own $8 billion worth of assets across New Zealand, and they are the people who bring you your electricity to your house. We do have a number of lines companies, or EDBs as they call them, who are not owned by community trusts, Powerco being one of them, which is a large down the country, but the majority are owned by community trusts. I will sort of start to read this. The focus of the conference was around how the industry is going to respond and manage the electrification that is about to occur across New Zealand. We certainly have the capacity for 100% renewables, from hydro to our own geothermal and the biomass industry that's going on in Taupō, along less so much with wind and solar. The government is committed to a short but very sharp uptake by 2030. And I think even I'll be alive by 2030, I hope. The 2050 I probably won't see, but that's the longer goal. Twilight of fossil fuel in all sectors of society. Turangi is a suburb of Taupō, the same as Mangakino. A round trip to Pack and Save is 100 kilometres for us, for anyone living in either of these places. The current public service reimbursement rate calculates this cost to be $82. That's the cost for me to come and talk to you today. No one living in the Mangakino or Turangi area has any alternative other than to commit $350 a week in car costs if they have a job here in Taupō, which is where the jobs all are. We are significantly penalising our residents by requiring them to use their ICE cars, internal combustion engine, to connect with Taupō for whatever reason. In the current fossil-fuelled world, this is a totally unacceptable cost to our residents on every level. Today I would like to suggest to you that you explore with urgency accessing current government initiatives and funding, and believe me, it's awash with it, it's everywhere, to provide an electric bus service for all your residents in the wider Taupō region. And I do not mean a once-a-week shopping service. New Zealand's goal of 100% renewables will only be achieved one project at a time. We need a bus service that leaves early in the morning to drop people at work in Taupō. It then returns and takes people to Taupō for appointments, for shopping and accessing all the commercial activities that they require, which are here. It returns these people in the afternoon and comes back and picks up the workers between 5 and 6 and bringing them back home. Yesterday afternoon, it was miserable, it was cold, and we were sitting inside in front of the fire, and I put it on Facebook, and I got 51 positive comments in about 5 hours. Yes, I would use it. Yes, what a great idea. Yes, that's terrific. I have children, and I have to take them to daycare, and my husband gets to work, come to work up here, but yes, I would use it. So I definitely and I received very wide support, and I would also like to comment that Jo Bransgrove got in trust with me. She's the chair of Amplify, and she said, Sandra, I'm right behind you. There are no downsides to this project. It aims to allow those who could be available for work in Taupō to get here at a realistic cost. It allows people to plan their hospital or commercial appointments knowing that they have a service that they can rely on. And I'm well aware that Hastings have given up their service and are doing it now an on-demand. Well, Hastings is not Taupō, and it's not 100 kilometres for them to get to work every day. An electric bus is cheap to run. The initial capital investment costs can be solved by doing what the big councils are doing, leasing. There are no downsides to leasing, as this council already knows. Taupō District Council has ignored the transport needs of its residents in the outlying areas for long enough. There's no excuse and every reason to rethink the needs of all residents and create a transport strategy now for everyone. Public transport is the key to a vibrant and affordable future for all of us. Even when EVs do become the norm, there will be many people, as we know, who will never be able to afford them. So why should they be denied the opportunities that the Taupo town presents? Liz Yeaman, who is the director of this is another offside. Liz Yeaman, who's the director of ChargeNet, spoke to us at the conference at length. They are the largest provider of charging points in New Zealand with over 215 charging stations. They have been co-funded by the government. Their charging points will charge any electric vehicle, including Tesla. Taupō District Council needs to engage urgently with ChargeNet and install a hub in Turangi, as they are currently looking for suitable places, and I can't think of a better place than the central North Island. They will install up to 12 points in an attractive hub, aware that families want to get out, walk around, have a coffee, stretch their legs, spread their legs. This is an urgent conversation you need to have with ChargeNet. Councillors need to get on with an achievable, decarbonised transport strategy that starts with providing Mangakino and Turangi electric buses every day. Taupo Township already has buses, the need is not so urgent here, and I would like to refer councillors to the Orion Group, who have committed to a fully decarbonised company, starting with each staff member, who is required to show and understand their own carbon footprint daily. Budget 22 priorities signal a start towards addressing significant infrastructure deficit. Budget 22 lifts infrastructure investment over the next 4 years from 57.3 to 61.9, representing an increase of 4.6 billion. The budget allocates 2.9 billion from the Climate Emergency Response Fund over the next 4 years, with a strong focus on transport initiatives. I have given you a printout from Energy News, which arrived on my desk on Friday. I don't know if any of you subscribe to Energy News or not. Very, very good article. I'm sorry for slam dunking you councillors, but I felt it was a very urgent matter, and I felt that it was something, was a little bit, other people talked about all the other things, so it was something that's very dear to my heart. I'm involved in it deeply, and anything to do with energy, come and talk to me.
Thanks, Sandra. Councillor Taylor?
Thanks, Sandra. I don't take it as a slam dunk. I appreciate your comments. Actually quite timely, particularly around public transport, because a week ago today, almost to the hour, I sat in Hamilton at the Regional Transport Committee, and public transport was one of the key conversations. Had to push hard because it's a very Hamilton-centric group, but you'd be pleased to know electrification is front and centre in the strategy, and it's moving towards that, and no one contracted for public service will be buying anything other than that in the very near future going forward. Can I encourage you to stay tuned, because the contract is or has just been let for the Taupō District around public transport. So there are two issues. One is around the town and connecting to the town. So Turangi, Mangakino in particular. There's no easy fix, but it is essential that your voice is heard in that conversation. So I'd encourage you to keep saying what you have just said, but plug it into...
I'm always happy to come and speak with anybody or be involved in conversations with my energy trustee hat on, because that is my role in that district, and that's is what I do. Thank you for that.
And look, some of the feedback we get is the 40-seater buses wandering around town, they're empty, and everyone goes, really? Is there a better way of doing this? So there's no easy fix, as I said, but I'm happy to continue engagement with you on that. So thank you.
Councillor Park?
Thank you, Sandra. And similar to what Councillor Taylor just said, did you submit to the regional council as well?
No,
from where
I didn't.
the public transport function comes from?
This was on the back of the conference that I went to last week, which I actually was asked to go to at the last minute because somebody else couldn't go. And I sat there and I was literally blown away, because it was the brains of the country, of course, because it was ETNZ, and it was just, decarbonisation, wall to wall, and I thought, I've got to go back and say something.
Oh, cool. I'm not sure where the submission process is for the public transport, but being a regional function, just make sure you...
Thank you.
You slam dunk them.
I'll talk to you
well.
about that. Thank you very much.
I was going to say, through the chair, I've got your email address. I'll connect with you outside of this forum.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you,
Hey, lovely to
councillors.
see you and appreciate all that energy work you do. It's fantastic. Good to see you. With regards to Dennis. Oh, he's here. Oh, sorry, I didn't see him there. Okay, yeah, just next up, I'm aware that a couple of councillors would like to attend the a funeral. 2, 4, 5. Who wanted to go? Yeah. Tong, are you there? Come in, Tong. Yep. Are you there? We just need you for a quorum. We've got a couple of councillors, unfortunately, got to leave us to a well-known locals tangi that's on at 11 o'clock. So, if you guys want to
make
make
apologies here. So there's extended family, so I'd like to be
yeah,
there.
yeah, sure. Just a query before you go. Did you want to reconvene this afternoon or tomorrow? Unfortunately, I'm apology for 1 o'clock this afternoon, so I'm away.
Well, at the will of the council, I'll just take my leave. I don't get back. If you want to carry on deliberations straight after the submitters' hearings, it's over to you.
Yep.
Otherwise,
So what is the feel of the council? I know you're away tomorrow, Kathy, but Carly's away. Okay, so carry on. So the meeting will reconvene. Yeah, the meeting will reconvene. Oh, just carry on. Yeah, okay, until 1. Good as gone. Well, 1 for me anyway. So, okay, thank you, John. Please give our regards to the family. And unfortunately, it's just such unfortunate. Most of us would like to go today, so appreciate that. If you get a chance to talk to Tony. Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, sorry, members of the public and submitters, just a bit of housekeeping there. Okay, who have we got up next? Thanks, Ross.
Next speaker is submitter number 31. We could have Laurie Burdett, please.
Laurie, good morning, good morning.
Always is. Always is, Laurie, and there's no solution.
Is that the speaker for?
It is.
Thank you.
Lovely, welcome, Laurie.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks. Just like to say I concur with the previous submitter, and I'm probably going to talk on something very similar. Just keep myself on track. I want to talk about climate change in relation to the annual plan. And first I'd like to congratulate the council on all the different initiatives it's had over the years, both from trying to reduce green waste, going to the landfill, and all the other little bits around the edges. But the area we still haven't achieved, and from my perspective, is getting people out of their cars. Now there's a great effort making town centre much more livable, going to be great. But I listened with care, and I was a submitter on the Nukaho plan change. And I always love the comment that another 650 cars coming through the Control Gates Bridge at peak hours was only a minor difference. You know, I love those weasel words. I've listened to them over the years. And of course we've got a lot more coming. And I also love the gentleman that lived up the top who said he could walk down in 10 minutes and back in 15. So, yeah. But I notice if I ever have to travel in during peak hour, even with the traffic lights, very few people walking. It's way too easy just to get into your car and drive. So if we're going to have another, let's say even out there's another 100 sections, you're going to have 800 more cars coming into town. Where are you going to put them all? I think we need to really focus on getting people out of their cars. I think building another bridge isn't going to achieve that. What we need is a few more traffic jams, to be frank. Might not be very palatable. But we need to get the town, those that live close enough to walk, it is really close, and I really support the comment about putting in a nice walking cycle bridge. There is a plan for one to go across and comes out in Riverside Park, and it connects straight through to Nukaho, and there's an area of reserve it could go to. I think it's fallen off the 10-year plan, has it, or is it still there? No, gone. We need to make it good to walk to work, and there needs to be incentives. Otherwise, if it's easier and we keep building more roads and more bridges, we're going to fail in our carbon footprint in this town, even with electrification of the vehicle fleet. And I listen sometimes, you know, to how expensive it is to buy an electric vehicle. Well, I bought a little hybrid a couple of years ago. It was 25% cheaper than the equivalent Corolla, which I normally buy. Yes, the hydroelastic suspension wasn't there, so I bought a cushion, and it's all good. You know, did lack a few things. It looks exactly like a Prius, but it isn't. It's an Aqua, great little car, very, very efficient. I fill it up occasionally. Yeah, so yeah, you can go for low vehicle cars, but building another bridge, I think is just going to add to our problems. Huge cost. You're going to spend another 350,000, I think I read, on building and doing yet another, what do you call it, looking at building another bridge. I think we've done that before several times. I've been here too long. If we could get Nukaho out of their cars, and something that is not your responsibility, get another school over our side, I don't think there'd be a problem. Not everyone wants to send their kids to a Catholic school, and we do desperately need another school on our side. And that would solve, with school holidays, there's no traffic jam. You know, it's the school traffic, and we just need to resolve that. But yes, please, please, please do something about getting people out of their cars. And I don't think you'll do it by building another bridge and a nasty, ugly car parking building, which is going to be expensive. You need to have some incentives for walking. Have I covered it all? That's it.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Laurie. Appreciate your time once again. Any questions of Laurie? No, all good. Pretty clear, very clear and concise, Laurie. Thank you very much. Next up.
Who's brave enough to campaign this year on not building another bridge?
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thanks.
Next we have submitter number 39, Maggie Stewart on behalf of the Turangi Food Bank.
Maggie. Morning, Maggie. How are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to be back. Thank
Welcome
you very
back.
much. And kia ora to everybody. Turangi Food Bank. Now I'm going to pass around a graph that we've just done. It's from 2008 to last year. You'll see, I wish it was round the other way, but it's not. The reality of it is this is the way the trend is. The first year you'll see is very tiny, 29 I think. But that was because it was the first year and it was the very end of the year when we started our database. We were actually going 2 years before this, but we were running out of the kitchen in the senior sits hall. We didn't have databases, we didn't have anything. We just fed people because the need was there. But you'll see the growth that has happened, and if you look at the growth, you'll see that in 2015 and up to then, we were sort of pretty just nicking along, doing what we do. And then the housing shortage came, and people came home because they couldn't afford to rent wherever they were. And that started the build-up, and that kept building. And then COVID hit, and whew, away we went. And we're still going. We're working with the Ministry of Health. We're one of their providers for whai. They allocate money to us, but it's only spent on COVID people, not on our ordinary food. We report to them, and we Zoom with the Bay of Plenty ones every fortnight to see where we're tracking, and we get the information on where the trends are going and they're looking at. What we're here today is to ask for a service agreement with Taupo, like you have with Bike Taupo, EGLT, DGLT and people like that, because we need a little bit of surety with our funding. When we started keeping our records and became incorporated and got realised we had to actually do something, we were at the start, our expenses have just tracked up all the way. And when COVID hit, we had to get an 0800 number, and we still do completely contactless with our clients with delivery or pick-up, and because we have to stay safe, because if we get COVID, then there's no one to take over and make sure that these people are actually getting the food they need. We're getting a new database, and we feel that we could have a two-way street with council. It's not just a one-way street from you giving us something. With our new database, we'll be able to collect more data. Like, I can tell you what that graph means, but we will have the data collected with the new database that will collect all the information. So it will give you a really good snapshot of what is happening on the ground where we work. We've got 2 workers that work in both part-time. One is the coordinator and one is a support person. We've extended their hours, but we actually need to extend them more. A lot of it's because of the reporting we're having to do and the computer work that we're now having to keep up with all that's going on, but also to keep the reporting going. But we also have our new coordinator as a budget advisor as well, and we'd actually really like to have some time for our clients that are long-term and tracking that way, that we actually have an in-house budget advisor that will be able to work with the clients to see an end perhaps to their need. But in the meantime, the need's there, the children are there, and you'll see that our parcels are going up. But to understand a parcel, that can be for a family. Some of our families have got 8 children, and some of our families have got 5 children. Some have only got 1. But the majority of our families have between 3 and 8 children. So a parcel for 7 days is a huge amount of food. So we have to work really hard to keep that up. We're with the New Zealand Food Rescue. We go to every trust we can. Misfit Food, veggies, they actually give us their surplus. We work in every avenue possible to get food, but we have to buy it as well. We're spending between 4,000 and 5,000 a month on food. I have to find that money. Brenda is my treasurer, Brenda Shearson, and we work really hard to keep all this together. Having a 3-year contract with council gives us some surety of where our money is and what then we have to look for. It also shows our funders that council is supporting us. The community board are wonderful. We go to them every year. But every year we're not sure what we're going to get because things change. To have a little bit of comfort, of surety would be so beneficial to us, and we're sure that we could work with council for information they might need on housing, on electricity costs, on just with the well-beings where we are sitting in Turangi. The majority of our clients are Tūwharetoa or of Maori descent. A lot of our clients are living in garages. We have motels full of emergency accommodation, and that's not just people on benefits that haven't got a house. It's people that have been working, that have lost their house because someone's bought it and now they're living in it. And so we've got working families in emergency accommodation as well. It's a whole new ballgame. And as you can see, we were tracking on along just doing what we do. And now we're in this whole new dynamic of need that we've never seen before. Like
Yes, sorry,
tracking our budget.
Sorry, Brenda Shearson.
Oh, Brenda, nice to see you, Brenda. Thank you. Thank you for coming today.
I was looking at some budgets actually, and when I first took over as treasurer, which was sort of early 2018, it cost $45,000 to run the food bank. My budget for the next year is $132,000. So 2018-19 it was about $45,000. It jumped up to 55 the next year, up to 86,000 in 2021. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Substantial rise, yeah.
And
Cool.
And we
Thanks,
have
Meg.
got buy-in from the community as far as, you know, we've got our garden club grow vegetables, we've got the prison growing vegetables. So there's a much more awareness now from the community of our services and what we do, but we still need the money to run it.
Yeah, the community
Councillor
are
Park?
awesome. They
Might be a couple of questions if that's okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
Hey Maggie, lovely to see you again.
Hey, Anna.
Just taking it from this budget for 2022 to 2023, are you asking for $10,000? There's a TDC column that totals $10,000. Is that what you're after?
No, that was what the community board were giving us.
Right.
But we would like a little bit lot more.
Can you give us a figure of what you're after?
Something that would be really helpful would be around 30,000
per annum.
Yeah, but 25 would be okay. But it just gives us, and I wouldn't actually want it specifically targeted to anything, so that where we've got the gaps, we can fill them, and we know that we can fill them. Like when you go to Bay Trust for funding, we went there for a top up on our wages, and we asked for 15,000. We got 7.5, but we actually needed that 15. So we've been using our donation money to cover our wages. It's just a real juggle all the way to try and keep things going. And we do need those two people. I work in food bank at least 3 days a week as well, because we haven't got the luxury of room, of space. So every parcel we make has to be made and tailored to the families. We haven't got room to make parcels up and have them, so we just add stuff. We have to actually build every parcel from scratch. So when you get 15 parcels on a Monday, it's busy.
Yeah, I can understand that. The last couple of years, obviously, with COVID have been, and no contact, have been really difficult. Have you thought about restarting food drives?
We do the food drive, we do that every year in November, and we've managed to actually do that all through COVID. It used to last us, when we did the food drive in November, I wouldn't have to buy anything till about May. Now I'm having to buy stuff in February. And we also do a food drive over Ongori Kiritown now, and we do that between Christmas and New Year to make sure we attract the most people, and we're still running out and having to start buy. We buy like baked beans, spaghetti, corn, tin tomatoes. Those things are gone by February, and we're buying them.
Right.
Councillor Taylor?
Worship, hi Maggie. Given, and I've read through your submission and the graphs you've given there, and your comment now that the bulk of your clients whakapapa back to Tuwhari Toa, are you aware that Tuwhari Ora have a contract with the DHB?
Oh, yeah.
Have you been able to plug into that?
We rang Tuwhari Ora at the very beginning to work together with them, and we never heard from them again.
Okay.
But so the health, MSD are working, they work with us as well as Tuwhari Ora, and they are funding us to do parcels. A lot of our clients come through straight from MSD, and yeah, I reached out to Tuwhari Ora. I sent them our client intake form so that if they needed help or we needed help, we could, but they have never come back to us with anything.
Thank you.
Which is sad.
Councillor Truman?
Kia ora, Maggie. Just one question. So, in your data, how many of those parcels would you think were specifically COVID related? If you were able to take that sort
I've
of
got
figure
those
out.
figures at the office because we have to keep them separate for the ministry. At the beginning, of course, we didn't keep it when we were in lockdown and that because it was civil defence doing it. So I was working closely with civil defence in Taupo, and they've only just given us money in the last 3 months from MSD. It's the only time we've had any help, except for when we were working with civil defence. So we spent a whole lot of time just making sure we had enough to do what we needed to do. The figures, about 3 months ago, they gave us, and I think we were averaging about between 20 and 25 parcels a week were COVID, and the rest were people just in hardship. But the COVID impacted on those people because they've had to come home and they've got nowhere to live. So COVID, yes, is there, but actually with COVID is hard to define, except for the ones we know had COVID because they've come through us with the ministry.
Very good. Councillor Guy.
Thank you.
Happy.
Lovely to see you, Maggie, and again, thank you for all the work that you do down in Turangi. Maggie, can you just advise what is the criteria to actually receive a food parcel?
Right, if you've come to Food Bank and you say, my power bill's really high, you have to take a photo of your power bill and send it to us so we can see. And then if it's a final demand or something like that, then we need to see that so that we know that we need to help urgently. Whatever it is, they need to actually prove to us. If it's petrol because they've had to go somewhere, then they have to show us petrol receipts. Some of our clients, I'm afraid, are never going to be able to, they don't make it. A lot of our clients have mental health issues and things like that, so the criteria for them is harder. We do send people to budget, but it's up to them to engage. If they don't engage, and I can't say to a mum with 5 kids, I can't feed you, because they've got those 5 kids there, and I'm not going to not feed those children. We get referrals through the police where we don't ask any questions, because it's usually the police have deemed that family need this and they need it now. They come and get it and take it to the family. To Whaitoa Health through Family Start, any agency that refers to us, which there's a lot of agencies in Turangi that do refer to us every week with their clients. We don't ask them the same questions we ask someone who self-refers, because we deem that agency's working with those people and they know they don't need another load of questions from us. They've already got enough going on that they need to deal with it. That's why I'd like to get the budget side of what we can do worked out, because we didn't have a budget service in Turangi for a long time. Taupō Budget Service have just started down there, but at the moment they haven't got a budget advisor there, so it's all serviced up here, not down in Turangi, or by phone, which isn't the same as having somebody that they can trust. And when Tapaya, who's our coordinator, is dealing with the clients, and she is a fully fledged budget advisor, she has their trust, so they will actually tell her and work with her. But we just need more space. We've got this tiny little bit of space, and we've got food in my garage and Carol's garage and Brenda's garage, because we can't, when food from New Zealand Foodstuffs comes, we have to have at least 1 pallet, and that comes every fortnight. It's not always food we can use. We got a pallet full of assorted chocolates. Very nice.
We'll take those.
It was M&Ms and pineapple lumps, and it's a nice to have, but it's not something we really need, and we can't ask them for what we need. We just have to take what we're given. I hope that answered your question. It's
Councillor Body.
Nice to see you again, Maggie, and congratulations on the work you do in the Treasurer. I've got just the graph you've given us in regards to parcels that doesn't match up to what's in the food bank reports that we've got. But my question is to do with the finance. You indicated you needed to run how much this coming year? 130?
Yeah, 132,000.
133,000.
Okay, well, for the 21 year, you have a deficit of 2,000 and the expense were 89, so you're looking for 40,000 more.
That's what it costs us, John. Yeah, it's gone up.
So 30,000, you really need 40,000 to make the books balance.
That probably won't. We have to then, this year we're going to go, we had a 3-year contract with lotteries for wages, and we should never have done that, because we thought it would give us the surety, but the wages have gone up.
Yep.
And so we were left with just getting the 20,000, where our wages bills doubled. So we will be asking lotteries, because our 3-year thing finishes in November. We'll be able to ask for a year's worth of wages, so we'll be asking for a higher amount from lotteries, but then all our other costs have gone up. So the 30,000 will just give us a little bit of surety if something falls over and we don't get a funding, that we have it, but we also will need it, just because we won't get the full amount of funding from anybody. We need to actually always be looking to find money for it.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks very much, Maggie. And thank you, Brenda. Nice to see you today.
Thank you
Appreciate
for your
what your ladies and your organisation does there in Turangi. Truly appreciate it. All right. How we going? Us?
Next speaker is submission number 40, Belinda Walker from the Economic Families Trust.
Linda, good morning.
Good morning. Glad it's still morning.
Only just. And morning. You've got a good looking man next to you there.
Yeah, I'm too kind. She's doing the talking.
Okay.
So good morning, councillors and online. And we have today with me Bruce Bartley as well, and together with 3 others we form Kinloch Families Trust. And Kinloch Families Trust actually formed just under a year ago in response to what we see as really growing in Kinloch. So if I'm just... Brilliant. Great, so thank you very much for your time this morning, people. I appreciate that you have a lot to get through. We wanted to share, we are looking at we've created a different way of representing Kinloch in terms of an interactive model that's based on rather than our traditional committee based, we're looking towards an inclusive, interactive decision-making option where everyone can have a voice. And an example of that is when we come to make our submissions, we use polls and we use surveys. Surveys are a classic traditional method, but in our polls with our Facebook group, we're actually able to allow all of our community to put in an option. And so one example of that was when we did the speed management question, we came up with some ideas, we put it on a poll, and actually the highest polling piece was by someone I don't even know. I've never met them in Kinloch, and Kinloch's not that big. So that's pretty exciting that we've managed to create a really interactive model for having everybody to engage and have a voice. It has proved popular and useful. As I said, we've grown to over 790 members, so that was from 360 a year ago when we moved from being Kinloch mums into Kinloch Families as a wider piece. And it provides a responsive communication channel with a wide cross-section from youth to seniors and beyond. So we wanted to just say that this channel is also available, and we've spoken at the Kinloch representative group, etc., and with a number of staff members, that it's available to help with communications and forward planning to meet the needs of a very dynamic Kinloch. Another example of that is a conversation I've had part of these consultations with Rose Prisk to look at, could we create an online consultation option? Staff do an amazing job trying to get around everywhere and grab every opportunity to do it. We're just conscious that people have got all sorts of time constraints, and with, you know, we're all trained up in the last 2 years of COVID to do online things, so let's try something with a consultation piece. We weren't able to deliver that just yet, but we have had those conversations. And that's where the future of some of these pieces can go, to just add to what is happening. So in regards to the annual plan, and we just wanted to look a little bit wider and take the opportunity to say, to look at our Kinloch Families group, what is it that you rate as essential? And you'll see there's our top 6 that were rated as essential on the screen there now. The 3 in bold are really the 3 that we've come this morning to talk to you about, because we see that as sitting within the remit of the council. Beautification of Kinloch's public reserves, including the lakefronts, and I'm excited to see that that's going to be talked to at the Kinloch representative group on Thursday, and we just wanted to say, you know, that's really highly regarded in that area. I will speak a little bit to the playground review. What does that actually mean? Well, it grew from the need to have shade in our playgrounds, but also to look at the playgrounds we have in Kinloch are increasingly losing their facilities. One's lost its swings, one's lost its octopus. Really, what we would love to do is work with you, do our actual review of what can we do in Kinloch. Can we do something a bit creative? Can we do something really useful? But most of all, can we have some shade when we can play in the middle of the summertime? What can we do with our beautiful lakefront we have there for our children to keep them safe and keep them occupied when everybody can play? In regards to upgrading the Whangamata Road, we are very excited to see that that is in the annual plan, but we just wanted to highlight Kinloch is the third largest population base in Taupō, in the district. And we are growing very fast. In the time that I've lived there in the last 6 years, the population has significantly increased. Even just this year, we've gone from 3 to 4 school buses leaving in the morning. So the growth is large. And we want to see that that is an ongoing improvement of that arterial route. And from our earlier speakers, Sandra and Laurie, we would just like to reiterate that idea of a public service, electric buses, very much sits with, if we combined our essential and important ratings on our survey, a bus service to Kinloch came up as soon as we put those two together. So we just want to reiterate we're supportive of that as well. In our other areas, we would just like to highlight, their top essential service for Kinloch was considered a mini supermarket shopping centre. So we hope, obviously that's not a council directive there, but when hopefully that can come to pass, that you'll be supportive of whatever is required from a council perspective in there. And we are working with groups for the permanent full-time kindergarten. We hope to see that expand with a outdoor base because we can see such a need for children to have a connection with nature. And our improved bus stops, it's a safety issue. When we did do the survey, as I alluded to, for the speed management, I appreciate we're not speed management this morning, but one of the things that came up was actually a pedestrian crossing in Kinloch to allow from the Lyland Drive side of Kinloch to Trev Terry where the school buses stop. As I've said, the school buses are increasing. The location in Kinloch where the population is increasing is on the other side of the road. It seems a small thing, but we have such a lot of traffic at that time in the morning too, and it's just we want to keep everybody safe. And when we went back to our Kinloch Families Facebook group, we said, here's our submission, please do your own. We want you to engage with council, engage with here. But if you haven't got the time or the will to do that, please put your notes below and say, is there anything else you want us to add in here? And again, the pedestrian crossing came up there with the annual plan as well. So I appreciate your time this morning. If you have any further questions on there, we're happy to take it. Our question is simply, what's the plan for these pieces? We're here to help in terms of communication, in terms of interactive polling. That's the one piece that we really can help significantly with. And we believe we can continue to make this a great place to live in terms of all the aspects that you do as council, but we can just add to that. So if you have any questions.
Oh, thanks, Belinda. Appreciate that. Questions, councillors? Councillor Taylor.
Not so much a question, just a comment. Thank you for your submission. It's actually really helpful to read through such a well-researched, well-presented facts and figures and having gone out to a large number of people. So I really appreciate having that information presented. It makes decision making a lot more valuable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Boddy?
Just clarification, you mentioned your membership 790, but your submission says 750, so which is correct?
Yeah, it's growing. That's how fast we're growing.
So since you made the submission,
Since we made the submission,
really?
that is how much it is growing.
That's great.
I know, it's amazing. It makes it very difficult to do a percentage of how much responded, to be honest.
Yeah, 27%, yeah. Thank you.
So the members are individuals or
yes.
families? Yeah.
Yeah, they're individuals. So when we were Kinloch mums, that was probably representing families. That was 360. Now it's individuals. One of the exciting things there is actually we've got youth coming in there, and we all know that's notoriously hard to connect with. But we provide services. People are saying, hey, do I need a babysitter? They can come on and say, yep, I can do that. I still am one of only 2 administrators on our Facebook group, and we ask them, you have to answer the question, what's your connection to Kinloch? and do you agree to our rules, which is, be nice, basically. And so I can track, there is a real connection to them.
Cool. Hey, thanks, Rhonda, and thank you so much for all the information you share with us and what you do out at Kinloch, and much appreciated, and having Bruce alongside you too. Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks very much.
See you Thursday.
Right, Russ.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have submitted number 26 now, Raywin BT.
Good morning, councillors.
Good morning, Rowan. Hey, lovely to have you, and sorry we're running a little bit
That's
late.
all right,
but,
no worries. I just checking it was still morning.
Realise you're a busy person.
I
Thanks,
feel a
Rowan.
little bit of a fraud here, so I'll just speak very quickly. Very newbie to the area. Absolutely love the area, which is why we came here. And listening, there's a lot of very important issues, and I don't envy you people making the decisions about how it all works. So thank you very much for all that you do. As I say, new resident at Kuratau, just looking at our community facilities that were there, and a dog lover, but do appreciate that not everybody likes that as well. So I've submitted the thoughts that I had. Obviously some pictures came around on Friday. Hopefully you've had a chance to see that, but realistically, very low on your priority, but happy to answer any questions and look forward to working with people around sort of updating our facilities.
Cool. Thanks, Rowan. Any questions? Councillor Westerman.
No, I enjoyed reading their submission, and being a dog lover myself, I think it's a brilliant idea. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Cool. No? Pretty
Nope.
clear and concise, Rowan. Hey, good,
Absolutely.
Good to see you
Move
again,
forward.
and appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming up today.
No worries.
You'll be able to get home and drive that bus. Catch you later. All right, Russ.
Thank you, Your Worship. Final speaker today is submitter number 30. We have Rowan Sapserd from Bike Taupō.
Rowie, good morning. Rowan, how are you?
Good, thank
Realise you had a very busy morning, so
It was a
thanks
busy
for
day.
taking time out to come and see
And
us.
on that note, thank you very much for fitting us in, because I know you've got an equally busy day as well. So no, I appreciate the efforts of your staff to kind of make some time for us around our schedule to fit in with yours. So I'd just like to start by thanking you for the time to talk. I mean, we don't take the work that you do for granted. We don't take what's in your draft annual plan for granted, and that it'll continue in the final document. So we think it's important just to kind of talk off some of the work in there and just say, look, we really want this to proceed for the betterment of, of the Taupō District. Obviously cyclists first and foremost, but we know that there's additional benefits that kind of flow on from that. Also wanted to mention that we actually managed to have an event this weekend. We had 550 people riding around craters of the moon from all parts of the country. Appreciate the councillors that were there. We had one kind of helping out. He did have one job. One job, Kevin. One job. But anyway, Mr. Masters had a discussion. No, he didn't. He completely failed. But in saying that, he got told to put lights up in a tunnel. 4 years ago we had one tunnel, so now we've got 5. So it's fine that he got that one completely wrong. Yeah. And on that note of actually assistance, would also like to acknowledge working with council staff, including Dennis and the team, to kind of, I guess, working with us and trying to create some cool solutions to some challenges at the moment. And part of that is actually about connecting people on bikes with the CBD, and our current focus is north of town. Obviously we've got Control Gates Bridge, and there's a lot of work in Norman Smith Street as well, which we've identified as a challenge. We've had some really good sessions with staff on site and in offices. And on that note, the specific projects that you've identified to kind of enhance the cycling environment rurally and also urban is really appreciated, because it's also not about just having people riding around the town centre and doing the cool stuff there, but it's about how do we safely get people in there to access the town centre. So, and essentially that's all we've got to say. Well done. Appreciate your support and funding, and please continue. And also, I guess I should acknowledge our annual funding as well, and long may that continue too. That's it. Cool. Okay, thank you very much. Cool. Right.
Hey, thanks, Ron. And thank you for all the work that you do with the many hats that you wear. Just in regards to some of the feedback this morning, and well, it would in fact be a third bridge, not a second bridge, because we've got the ETA bridge. Do you think just a walking or a shared pathway bridge, as opposed to a car bridge, would make a big difference, or what do you see as a good idea?
Well, I guess unlike the majority of the Taupō community, I'm not a traffic engineer, and we like to defer to those experts, and this is what they do on a yeah. So and I guess we put our trust in the experts to know to create good outcomes, just like not every good mountain bike rider is a good trail designer, but they're happy to share their views. But what we do believe that actually if you make it easy for people to walk and bike into town, that'll help alleviate and some of the congestion issues which are growing. We've seen a huge growth in the amount of people on electric bikes, and there's a whole lot of people now, instead of driving into town, they're on e-bikes. And so it's identifying that as the opportunity to kind of maybe look at options which may not have been on the table a few years ago. So acknowledge that there are other legitimate ways of accessing town which may not involve a motor vehicle. And what that option looks like, you know, we'll leave that up to the experts, but we definitely want to see people on bikes as, you know, up there as a priority within that kind of design process, and we're happy to sit with the team and say, you know, design and look at options as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Rowan. Good to see you again, and appreciate all the work that you do in your organisation.
All good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Timmy.
Good morning again. I guess if Shani and Karen will help to put up the resolutions now, if we would like you to accept the resolution from submitters. To accept it.
Is that how Councillors feeling? Do you want a 5-minute break before we do this? We have we'll just adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes.
Yes, definitely.
And have a cup of tea and come back.
That's
Thank
all right.
you.
Well,
there is a couple of couple of housekeeping matters just to receive the written submissions and accept the late submissions here of Scott Necklin and Katrina Eagles, submitters 52 and 53. If I could just have a mover that we to this formality there. Thank you, Councillor Guy, seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried. Now, Mr. Green, you just want a bit more time, I understand?
So, Your Worship, so the staff just, this was a bit of a transition period, and the staff are just working through what advice we need to give to you. Our request is that that you take a lunch break and that you come back at 1 o'clock, and we'll be ready to roll from there. Very conscious, Your Worship, that you are out at 1 o'clock, and we obviously don't have a deputy mayor at the moment. We do have a deputy mayor. Our deputy mayor is not present at the moment, and so the suggestion is that you appoint a chairperson now via resolution for this afternoon session. So that would be between 1 and we reckon that would be done and dusted by 3, as in the schedule. If we do need it, we do have tomorrow put aside as well, if we need that extra time for deliberations. But having a chairperson appointed this afternoon means we'd be able to continue if that's your wish.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mr. Green. So you want time now, so that's good. And then fortunately I've got a prior commitment at 1 o'clock, so if I could ask for a potential chairperson, Councillor. Yeah, Councillor Williamson, I'm unsure that will be back. He will be back because I think he will carry on formalities here at the Mr. Jurrison's, I would say. So, Councillor Taylor, you've been suggested to into the chair for that particular time. Do I have a seconder, please? Been moved by Councillor Park. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against, carried. So the meeting is adjourned till 1 o'clock. Is that enough time for you guys? Yeah, cool. And then, if needed.
If needed, we'll go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, and you will resume as chair.
Yeah.
But otherwise we'd like to get done this afternoon.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So, sorry, members of the public, whatever, the meeting is adjourned till 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. You're most welcome to come back at 1 o'clock. Thank you, staff, and.